Once there lived an old farmer who had 3 sons. He had grown old after years of hard work. He raised his sons properly, but after they were handsome, tall men, the small farm could only provide them with a meager existence. So they decided to stop burdening their father and instead set out into the world to earn themselves. They got their father's blessings before setting out together, each carrying a little bag containing all their possessions. They continued to stroll joyfully, while making grand plans for the future until they reached a junction where 3 roads met. They then decided to separate ways, vowing to meet again at the same location 7 years later. So, the eldest brother continued on his journey until, after about a week, he arrived at a military camp. He immediately registered in their company and marched out to the battlefields with them. He was soon regarded as the finest fighting man of them all, and he was so strong, alert, and quick that he could mount any fortress wall with a weapon in each hand with ease. The second brother continued on along the alternate route till he arrived in a seaside city. He worked as a shipbuilder's apprentice there, where he honed his skills to the point that he was the best craftsman in the town. No one built ships as excellent as he did, and in a short period, he rose to fame. The third, on the other hand, had no desire to study any trade at all. He wandered on, turning this way and that as his fancy took him, till he came to a forest. He walked in and reclined against a bed of leaves to take some rest. He lay calm and silent, listening to a nightingale's song so sweetly that there appeared to be nothing else to do in the world but lie there and listen. When the bird flew away, he stood up and followed it, hoping to hear the song in a new location. As a result, he journeyed through woods and forests, as well as beautiful lonely locations. It was enough for him to memorize its song, as well as the songs of other birds. He lost all interest in the outside world and financial success. He was satisfied to live among the wild animals in the woods, eating their berries, and conversing with them in their native speech. They had no fear of him at all and instead crowded around him, perched on him, ate from his hand, and taught him all the intricacies of their speech and music. After 7 years, the first and second brothers arrived at the designated meeting spot even before the day they had specified. The third would have forgotten if a small bird hadn't thrilled him a reminder that his 2 brothers would be waiting for him. So, he rushed away from his favorite forests, trudging along, and singing and conversing with the birds. It was St. John's Day when he arrived at the location. When his brothers saw him again, he was so wild, long-haired, and hairy that they didn't recognize him. However, when he welcomed and embraced them, they recognized his voice. "Alas," they said, gazing at his shabby clothes, "what a state of poverty has he fallen into?" So they unpacked their mule's luggage, retrieved fresh raiment for him, and dressed him on the spot. Then they all went to an inn to celebrate their long-awaited reunion. As they were celebrating their reunion, a small bird on a branch outside the door sang a melodious song. Only the youngest brother could understand its lyrics. "Do you hear that bird?" he said. "Can you guess what it's singing?" "No." "Well, listen, and I'll explain what it's singing about. There is a treasure concealed near the cornerstone of this particular inn," it says. "It has been there for many generations. It will be yours if you dig for it." The small bird sings that, and birds always sing the truth. "Should we dig for it?" The eldest one chuckled but agreed to dig anyhow. All 3 dug, the treasure was discovered, fairly distributed among them, and they were now extremely wealthy men. They then returned to their home, where they gave their father a warm embrace, told him about their travels and made arrangements for his comfort for the remainder of his life. One day a bird sang while sitting on the garden wall while they were taking a nap at home. The youngest brother understood the lyrics. "Do you hear that bird?" he said, "Would you like to know the song it is singing? Then pay attention. There is a large marble mansion on an island in the middle of the ocean. However, a ferocious serpent guards the door, and a basilisk stands on the threshold. The lovely Princess Agli is imprisoned inside the castle. Whoever manages to rescue her will be entitled to take her as his wife, and he will also inherit her gold, silver, crystal, and precious stone hoard." The three brothers could not hear of the fair princess being left a prisoner any longer, and they planned together how she might be rescued. First, the second brother built a superb, quick, and sturdy ship, which the three brothers then used to travel to the island. A massive storm raged, and if the ship had not been the greatest and strongest in the world, it would have been smashed to pieces on the island's rocks. They arrived on the island and saw the castle with the terrifying guardians at its gate. They avoided them by sneaking around the rear, where there was no door but a towering tower with no openings except a window at the top. The oldest brother began climbing the tall tower with a rope wrapped around him and a knife in each hand to stab into the cracks because there was no place to stand. The lovely princess peered out the window as he got closer to the top. He explained to her their rescue strategy while he clung to the window ledge and said, "We are buddies." After entering, he wrapped the tight rope around her and carefully lowered her to his brothers below. Then he looked about the tower and castle until he found the gold, silver, and priceless stone treasure. He hurriedly gathered everything into numerous bundles, which he also lowered. Last but not least, he descended himself. The attractive lady and her fortune were subsequently transported securely by the three brothers to the splendid house they had constructed for their father. She said, "Take my treasure. For your bravery and compassion, that is a very meager compensation."
"But whose bride should she be?"